Hey, how's it going? If you're a business owner, small business owner, an entrepreneur, or you're just trying to better yourself, I think this video will really help you. Sorry, the lighting's all crazy. I just finished listening to some tapes and some audio stuff that I was doing, and I finished not finished, but I'm reading this book right now, The Diary of a CEO: The 33 Laws of Business and Life. And I thought I'd share some of the things that I learned here with you guys and kind of where I'm at in my life. Sometimes, us people, entrepreneurs, we go through a lot of challenges, especially dads and fathers out there. I don't think a lot of the world knows what a father goes through or a man goes through, especially as a small business owner. I was just talking to my son about this, how, the beginning of the month, nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed from the next 30 days until all the bills need to be paid. Nothing is guaranteed. I don't know if I could pay for, rent that month. I don't know if I could pay for food in the fridge that month. I don't know if I could, pay for all the school fees, the bus fees. I don't know if I could, take my family out on some entertainment stuff, take them to the movies, take my significant other out on a date. None of that is guaranteed. And so, as a man, as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, you have to go out there and you have to make things happen. You literally have no choice. And it doesn't matter how you feel. If you feel sad, if you just lost somebody, if you went through a breakup, if you're going through tough times, if someone betrayed you, if someone hurt your feelings, if whatever it is, it does not matter, because if you do not get back out there and you don't keep moving, you don't keep hustling, things are not going to get paid for. You're not going to get, that shelter over your head. You're not going to get food in the fridge. And so you have to develop this mindset that becomes very resilient. And I don't think everyone is made for entrepreneurship. Not everybody is made to do this type of work where you make money for yourself, and whatever you do causes other people to eat. Causes other people to put food in their fridge on their table so they could feed their kids. And so you have to realize, that it's more than just yourself. And so you got to go out there and you got to make things happen. And I'm learning this now more than ever, to show up for yourself, not just in work, and mentally, and not just doing the job you need to do, but for your body. And one of the things that is the lowest hanging fruit that you could do is shape your body and show up for your body. And it's really one of the hardest things to do as an entrepreneur, because you're working 16-hour days, 12-hour days, 14-hour days. You're putting out fires. You're helping other people out, and you're also a father, you're also a parent, and you got to show up for your kids, to find time for yourself, to like get in the gym, working out, lifting weights, doing cardio, to work on this body of yours. And what I found is, if you show up for yourself and you're showing up for yourself every day, um, not doing it for, maybe for women or for other people out there, not doing it for clout, not doing it for, man, I look good in the mirror, but doing it for the discipline, to show up for yourself every single day. And that discipline that you develop, you're going against a lot of things. You're going against social media. You want to check your phone, you want to look for distractions, you want to maybe get back to your PlayStation 5, you want to see what's happening on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Snapchat, on TikTok. And you have all these distractions, and there's people posting about their trips, and they're posting about the money they make, they're posting about the vehicles they're driving, and you get this FOMO, and you feel like you're missing out. And you have all these distractions, and your mind is telling you to do everything but show up for yourself. Your mind is telling you, you don't need to work out today. Yeah, let's just watch Netflix. It's easier just to hang out, to watch TV. It's easier to do everything but show up for yourself. And so you're battling your mind, you're battling distractions. And if you could decide to be like, you know what, I'm going to just show up for myself, even if it's 5 minutes, and then that turns into 10 minutes, and that turns into 20 minutes a day, then an hour a day, you start conquering this little voice in your head that's telling you that you can't do it, that, let's do something else. Let's not show up for ourselves. And when that happens, that you conquer that little mind, that resilience and that strong mindset that you develop, can go into any area of your life. It'll translate into your business. It'll translate into your relationships. It'll translate into your friendships. It'll translate into your parenthood. It'll translate into eating healthy. It'll translate into everything that you need to become a better person. And what I learned is when you change, everything changes. When you become better, everything becomes better. And then when you show up for yourself every single day, you develop a discipline. That discipline that says, that you do not need motivation. Motivation is fleeting. Motivation is temporary. What happens on the days when you don't have motivation? A lot of times people ask, how do you stay motivated? And it's not motivation that will get you to success at all. Motivation will get you started. Motivation will help you maybe after so many days off, and that you already lack the mental capacity to be mentally strong, and you're lacking the discipline. So discipline is showing up when you don't feel like it. Discipline is showing up when your body is sore. Discipline is showing up when you barely had any sleep and you're like, man, maybe just today I'm going to take a day off. Discipline is showing up when it's not cool to show up, man. All your friends are partying. All the friends are out having fun in life, and you feel like you're missing out. Yes, you are missing out on certain things, certain times of your life. Maybe there's a party or whatever, but the payoff is the life that you want. The payoff is the life that you've been fighting for. The payoff is the life that you've always dreamed of for your kids, for your family, for everybody that you take care of. When you show up mentally, when you show up with that discipline, those two things, that mental strength and that discipline, is going to carry on in every area of your life. And you're going to realize that you start winning everywhere. And everybody starts saying, man, you must be lucky. I don't know what it is about you, but everything you do turns into gold. Not knowing when they were sleeping, you were working out. When you were sleeping, you were reading. When they were out partying, you were reading. When they were out taking pictures with rented vehicles and spending all their money on vacations that they can't afford, you were reading, you were working out, you were working on giving value to the world. You were working on these disciplines. You were working on yourself to become the best possible version of yourself. And these things, I'm going to touch on this book real quick, The Diary of a CEO. And he talked about a lot of good things that really transformed my life as a business owner, really transformed my life as a man, every good thing that came into my life. There was things that he talked about that I want to share with you. And he talks about these 5 buckets that you must fill. And just so I say the wordings that he said, I want to just read this book, what these 5 buckets are. But the very first one is, number 1 is what you know. And what you know is so important because it's all your knowledge. And what you know drastically changes the quality of your life. And for me, when I learned this, is I knew that we become what we think about, that our thoughts become our reality, our outer world's a reflection of our inner world. And that comes from knowledge. That comes from what it is that you know in your life. And if you don't know, now's the time to be like, how could I gain that knowledge? That's bucket number 1, is gaining this knowledge, what you know, reading books, listening to audios. Instead of scrolling on YouTube, find podcasts on YouTube, find an audiobook on YouTube, find all the things that could serve you in terms of getting knowledge and what it is that you want to learn in your field. And I read this one time that if you get 5 books within your field, you'll know 95% more than the rest of the world about that topic. And so gain that knowledge, become an expert at whatever it is that you do. For me, it's business. I'm going to read and do everything that I could about business, learn about CEOs, learn about success, learn about mindset, learn about discipline. I'm going to read about leadership. I'm going to read about investing. I'm going to read about Bitcoin. I'm going to read about AI and new advancements. I'm going to learn about sustainable growth. I'm going to learn about helping others, so that knowledge that I'm learning is drastically helping me as a human. It's drastically helping me as a business owner to be able to give knowledge. So I'm asking you, fill up your bucket of knowledge. For me, one of my biggest excuses that I have ever told myself is I'm not a reader. I don't like reading books. I won't read books. And that story I was telling myself, I didn't know I was harming my growth. I was harming my future. I was harming the life that I actually wanted. And I had to learn how to read where I enjoyed it. And I realized that, I could do a page a day. I could start small. I'm going to chunk this down. I'm going to read 5 pages a day. Then it got to 10 pages a day. Now I can read, at least a chapter a day. I'm still not where I could read a book like just like that. I'll read a chapter a day. I'll soak it in and I'll take notes about it. And then I'll get into this next bucket, which is what you can do, your skills. So what you can do with your skills is now applying that knowledge, but it's also sharing that knowledge. It's sharing, okay, now that I read a chapter of this book, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to teach what I learned, just exactly what I'm doing in this video. And this is something exactly that you could do for yourself, is to realize that you could, read a chapter and start teaching it, start giving value of the world. And then it starts being what you know. And when people see, man, this guy's pretty smart, this guy's pretty intelligent, how could I be around him? How could I work with him? How could I get more knowledge from him? And you realize that, you start sharing this knowledge, people start subscribing to you, start building a community for yourself around what it is that you do. Let's say you're in fitness and you read 5 books about fitness and you start teaching the workouts, you start teaching the diets, you start teaching, the mindset around working out, you start teaching the philosophies, everything. And you start making a long video like this. Maybe it's a 20-minute video and you chop it up into reels and you chop it up into shorts and you send that out automatically, 5 posts a day, boom, 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 boom. And it only took you 1 sit down to do it, but now you're posting 5 a day. You're getting that knowledge out there. You're getting that knowledge out there. You're giving that value out there. And I believe in the law of reciprocity. I believe in whatever you give, it comes back times 10. And so when you just focus on gaining that knowledge and you focus on giving the value and sharing that knowledge of what it is, your applied knowledge, and also the results that you're creating for yourself, right? That will come back to you. That will come back to you in keynote speeches for conferences. That will come back to you in work. That will come back to you in consulting. That will come back to you in clientele. That will come back to you in business, for your business, right? Where people want to buy what it is that you sell, your products, your services, is by you constantly giving value out there. And one of my mentors, Frank Kern, he talks about his marketing strategy, his marketing trick is the oldest trick in the book, by helping people and showing them that you could help them, showing them that you could help them with your knowledge, showing them that you could help them with the processes that you learn, showing them that you could help them with the philosophies that you learn, showing that you could help them that you are the person doing the study, that you are the person who's out there learning the greatest strategies out there from the greatest minds within your area, within your niche, right? And now you're documenting it to the world to let everyone know that you're the expert, that you're the guy. And that's where that second bucket comes in, is by applying what you can do. The next one is who you know. And this is a result from the first 2 buckets. By gaining that knowledge, by sharing your talent, your skill, giving out value, you start to develop a network of people who could help you. And I realize every big thing I've ever done in my life, from traveling the world, from dancing performances, powwows, traveling, from all the businesses that I've ever done, from investing in Bitcoin, in cryptocurrencies, from launching these conferences and these powwows, I couldn't have done it myself. There's no way I could do it myself. It comes from my team. It comes from my network of people. It comes from all the people that I've gathered, all the people that I've known from our museum exhibit that won international awards, from me being an artist, from me being an entrepreneur, from me being a father, from me being a friend. Everything that I've gained in my life that I could look in the mirror and say I'm proud of that person came from other people, came from the people I learned from, came from mentors, came from books, came from all the successes I've had, came from a team, came from people that I love, people that gave me value in my life. And now that I realize, when I want my business to grow, I can't do it myself. I have to do it with other people. I have to do it with a team. I have to do it with my network of people. And I also realize, when I'm right here and I want to get to right here, that requires a whole other set of network of people. That requires me being around. If I want to be a millionaire, I got to hang around these millionaires. I got to figure out how do I get within that network of people so I can learn off them, because the only difference between right here and right here is how they think and that knowledge that they have. And I want to be right there to acquire that knowledge. I want to be right there to soak in that knowledge. I want to be there so I can mimic and realize that success leaves clues. And these clues I want to pick up. These clues I want to put it in a bag, and I want to learn, and I want to apply them in my life. And that's from your network of people. And so you develop that naturally by getting that knowledge and sharing it with the world. You're going to start attracting the people. You're going to start attracting the tribe. You're going to start attracting the right people, because you realize that like attracts like, and opposites are they don't attract, right? They repel. And so you're going to find the negative people will come on, but then they won't stay. The negative people will say stuff, but they won't stay. They won't stick around, because this vibration, right, is not in tune with them. And when it's not in tune with them, they get uncomfortable. And so they might say some hatred. They might spit some hate your way, but that's okay. There's only a few of them, and they're not going to stick around. And so you gotta, when you develop yourself mentally, you're gonna be okay with all of those naysayers. You're gonna be okay with all of those haters. And one of the things that I realized, that when you're starting your process of change, you're starting your road to try to get better. You want it to come quick. You want it to come fast, because you're desperate for that change. Because where you are, maybe you hit a roadblock, maybe you hit rock bottom, maybe you're in a really tough situation. And you got to realize that where you are now is a result of your past thinking. And what I mean by that, it might not be the tragedy itself. It means that the tools that you have, you're not able to handle it, because you haven't given yourself the knowledge to handle it. But when you get through it, you get stronger. And especially if you deliberately say, well, I'm going to gain that knowledge now, so the next time I get hit with a challenge like this in my life that is so tough, that would destroy any other man, that it's not going to destroy me, because I'm going to be equipped with the mindset. I'm going to be equipped with the strength. I'm going to be equipped with the self-love. And I got this one saying that I don't leave people to teach them a lesson. I leave because I learned mine. I'd rather adjust my life to your absence than to adjust my boundaries to accommodate your disrespect. Now, leaving ain't easy, and it ain't weakness. It's strength. It's self-respect. It's self-love. And I don't lose anything by leaving, but only make room for what is real. There's some times in your life where you have to let people go, where you have to let people, these naysayers who are, even though you love them, maybe limit your time with them. That if they're constantly pulling you down, saying you can't do it, saying you're worthless, you're garbage, right? You just got to realize that you are you, and this person that you are, if you're showing up every day and you're developing this discipline, you're developing this mindset, it don't matter what anybody says, you're showing up for yourself. And over time, and I know you want the change to happen quick sometimes, but it's that journey where all the lessons are. Is that journey where all the lessons are, because when you finally get to that level you want to be, there's going to be a new level. And that new level, again, requires that journey. And you're going to be so much more grateful, because you realize that that's where the growth was within that journey. Was within those times where you said, I don't want to show up, but you did show up. And you had all these network of people to help you, like-minded people. You join a group of like-minded people, and finally you say, I found my tribe. Have you ever heard the saying, you are the sum of the 5 people you hang around with the most? That is that, right? When you find your network of people, someone who could challenge you, someone who could cause you to grow, and leaders, they reach down and pull you up. And if you don't have that type of people in your life, you need to start doing the first 2 buckets, where you start getting knowledge, you start giving value, and you're going to attract and find your tribe of people. The next one is what you have, which is your resources, and everything flows to the next thing. So the resources you have as a business owner, the resources you have as a business owner is the people, the money you have access to, the organizations, all your partnerships. When I did my biggest thing, which is, some of the conferences that we host, cost about close to over $250,000 to do these big, large events. And I need to tap into all of my resources in order to make something like this happen. I need to tap into my network. I need to tap into my knowledge. I need to tap into my skills. I need to tap into my relationships. I need to tap into everything that I know, my research, my team, my volunteer staff, my security. Every part of this whole picture needs to be working together. And that's me, operating only at a $300,000 level. And I realize if I want to hit that $1 million level, I need to tap into different types of resources in order to make that happen. And I'm realizing the formula. I'm realizing it's all math. I'm realizing that in order to make this math work, that this equation requires all of my resources. And so, but you can think of it as small, right? And think of it as me, like yourself, you're trying to get into the best shape of your life. What is the resources you have? Well, you have the earth. You could go for walks, you could go for runs, you could get that cardio in every single day. That might be the only resources you have. Or maybe you have a kettlebell and that you can afford a gym pass, right? But that gym pass, or maybe you're a business owner, you're making a lot of money, but you don't have time. And time is a resource. So you're like, well, if I had a kettlebell, a 35-pound kettlebell in my office, during those little tiny breaks, I could put in a set, and I know you're thinking, well, I'm going to start sweating. And, these are the mindset things that are going to stop you from the success you want. Well, I'm going to start sweating. It's going to be hot. I'm going to feel uncomfortable in the clothes that I'm wearing, things like that. Maybe lunchtime, you just throw on some workout clothes in your office. You do your kettlebell workout, right? Because now your resources, I only have this kettlebell and I'm going to get things done. I'm going to put in a 20-minute workout and I'm going to feel good about myself. Here's the thing is when you do the work that you need to do daily, like if it's reading, I need to journal, I need to meditate, I need to work out every day, I need to spend time with my kids every single day. These are the non-negotiables. You're going to feel good about yourself. Every single day, you're going to start feeling better about yourself, that you showed up for yourself, that you did those important things that you know that you needed to get done. And then the last one is your reputation, what the world thinks about you. These are the 5 buckets that I learned from the Diary of a CEO. It's just the first couple chapters in here. But your reputation is so important. And I think your reputation is your character. And your character is defined by your discipline. Your character is defined by how you show up daily. Your character is defined by your habits, the things that you do every single day. And there's things that I need to work on to be more kind, to be more compassionate, to realize that I once was down here struggling. And now I talk to a lot of young men who are struggling. And I might be a little hard on them sometimes, right? Not being as compassionate as I could be, not being as kind as I could be. But I realized that you need that warrior mentality, right? And your character is also the things that you stand for and the things that you stand against, right? That's your reputation. Find something that you stand for. And for me, I stand for showing up for yourself. I stand for personal change. I stand for personal development. I stand for working for yourself. I stand for taking accountability and responsibility, that your life depends on what you do daily, not what everyone else around you is doing, not what this person did to you, not how this person hurt you, not how this person left you, this person betrayed you, none of that. But to take accountability and say, what was my role in all of that? I'm going to take accountability for that. I'm going to take responsibility for that. So for the next time, it's not going to happen like that. The next time is not going to be like that. The next time I'm going to handle it different. The next time I'm going to be a lot stronger. The next time my mental is going to be a lot better. And that's what I stand for. I stand for a stronger man, stronger mind, a stronger heart. And that comes from working on yourself and learning what working on yourself is, right? To sharpen the mind, to gain that knowledge. I have this philosophy called RGGG, and R stands for responsibility. This is what we we touched on right now, to be responsible for your success, to be responsible for your failures, to take full accountability for all of that. The next is gratitude, being grateful because if you have shelter, there's so many people in the world that don't have that. If you have something to eat today, there's a lot of people that are starving today, right? You have money in your pocket, right? You're probably richer than 80% of the world because there's a lot of people in poverty out there. Right? If you have family, if you have someone who loves you, if you have a friend, all of that, there's always something to be grateful for. And what I found is what you focus on expands. And if you focus on the gratitude that you're getting every single day, more of it's going to show up because not because it magically appeared, but because it was always there. And your mind just didn't see it. Your mind didn't become aware of it. But also you start vibrating at a higher level in gratitude, that you start aligning yourself with some really cool things in your life. Maybe more people start showing up in your life, the person that you were always looking for. Maybe it could be a partner. Maybe it could be a business person. Maybe it could be a resource, someone that you just needed that was the missing piece of the puzzle. Start showing up. And you start getting these opportunities that were always there. But now you have the courage to take action on it, to align yourself on that path towards that thing that you're grateful for. The next one is growth. Growth is what we talked about in this whole video. Growth is about gaining that knowledge. And the one thing about growth is whatever it is you're trying to get better at, I say learn it. Read everything about it. If you want to get better relationships, read everything, listen to everything, surround yourself with everything that teaches you how to get good at relationships. If you want better relationships, learn about it, teach it, and apply it. Then you're going to find that all your relationships are beautiful, right? If you want to get good at money, if you want a bigger bank account, if you want to work less but make more, learn everything about money, learn everything about investing, learn everything about business, learn everything about all that. Get all the books you could about the subject, learn about it. If you read 30 books throughout the whole year about that topic, you're going to know more than 99% of everyone out there about money, especially if you apply it, right? You start teaching it. You're like, hey, this is what I learned, and this is how I'm applying it in my life, and here are my results. People who want to learn exactly that, you start attracting them in your life. You start attracting them in your world, and you start developing a tribe of people who want to buy your products about it. They want your coaching. They want you to speak at their next conference. They want everything about what it is that you're learning, and they just want to be around you. And that's what happens, right? And even fitness, right? Your health, learn everything. If you want better health, you want better fitness, learn everything about it. Learn everything about fitness, learn like as much as you could, right? Buy 5 books, buy 10 books, listen to podcasts, go on YouTube and listen to people who are living it and what are their philosophies. How do they think about it? Develop them, write notes about it, teach it yourself. Once you're learning it, start teaching it, embody it, start getting the results in yourself, in your body, in your mind. And then the same thing happens. You start finding your tribe, you start finding your resources, you start finding your network of people, right? And all those 5 buckets start getting filled, and you become the man. You become that person who is the guy within that area. So hopefully this gave you some value today. I just wanted to share that with you today, with all love, with all gratitude, with all respect. And thank you so much. Comment if you like this video, and I hope to see you in the future.